Give me clean hand, clean words, and clean thoughts. Help me to stand for the hard right against the easy wrong. Keep me from habits that harm. Teach me to work as hard and play as fair in thy sight alone as if all the world saw. Forgive me when I'm unkind, and help me to forgive those who are unkind to me. Send me chances to do a little good every day, and so grow more like Christ.
Some may remember it as Penn School, while others know it as Penn Center. The institution was founded in 1862 by Laura Town and Ellen Murray and became the first school in the nation to teach freed African American slaves.
When you visit Penn Center, you step back into time. It is such, number one, a beautiful place because it's not like any place else. You're stepping onto an island. You're stepping into a community that's been pretty much preserved for the past 100 years. Saint Helena is one of the few places where you'll see a living Gullah community. And our history began here when the enslaved people were brought from the continent of Africa and brought for the specific purpose of working on plantations, being sold into slavery. We descended from those people, and it's our heritage, one that we're proud of and one that makes us who we are today. The Penn School itself is a national monument to that legacy. It started as one of the earliest schools for the emancipated slaves.
Penn Center was a part of the Port Royal experiment. And that experiment came into being because early in the Civil War, there were concerns about whether or not people who had been enslaved could successfully attend school and learn and become learned people enough to function on their own. The schooling that Penn Center offered early was a way to liberation. And so this Penn School was founded and succeeded in doing that. And then it eventually, by the turn of the century, adopted other kinds of programs in its curriculum other than reading, writing, and arithmetic. Eventually, by the early 1900s, they had enough land to adopt agriculture as a main part of its educational program, as well as the trades and buildings and, carpentry, and incorporating basket weaving and shoe repair. Later on, wheel writing. And, by the 40s, they were doing auto repairs. And so folks that came to Penn School left here with marketable skills.
In addition to a formal education, students of Penn also came away with valuable life lessons.
Well, actually, for me, it was fun, especially in the elementary school, because we were very comfortable being on the campus all the time, and there were always friends, more or less, to play with, as far as children my own age and that sort of thing. And then, but by the time we got into high school, the curriculum was different.
High school classes, we spent half of the day in the academic subjects and the other half in in the industrial subjects. For girls, that meant sewing classes, home ec, other sorts of home ec classes like cooking, and for the boys, of course, it was more the shops and the blacksmithing and the carpentry and things like that.
Yeah, this would start from the time you got in the 6th grade. You would come into one of the shops, you would learn basketry, learn carpentry, shoemaking, shoe cobbling. Although you would start in the 6th grade, you would take that until you spend some time in each shop. You would spend a year in each shop. And then your last 2 years, the shop that you would like to be in, you would specialize in that.
The students, a large part of taking the industrial classes involved you in doing things that helped maintain the school. Also, I remember, for example, the boys who were in the agricultural department, they were raising much of the food that was used in the boarding department and so forth. And the boys were also building, working on the buildings and so forth. The girls, I can remember that we helped prepare, they learned how to, I guess, and helped prepare the hot lunches for the day school students.
I always said that whenever you leave Penn, you would be able to live in the world. In other words, you could take care of a family when you leave. Even if you didn't get a chance to go to further your education, if you didn't get a chance to go to college. So a number of the people who didn't be here, but they could take care of their own homes, they could farm, they could do the shoe repair for themselves, or these are the things that Penn was noted for. Well, for me, the main thing that comes out is that Penn always stressed giving back to the community. In other words, if you were here, you were supposed to do something for your community. This is one of the reasons why I went into social work, because I wanted to do something for the community and for people as a whole. So most of us you'll find that most of them turn out to be teachers, or there are a few. We didn't have many doctors come out because they couldn't afford it, but they're teachers or went into social work or some field that you could, teaching, that you could help your fellow man. And you always tried to give back.
Approximately 148 years ago, Penn was established by 2 young women from the state of Pennsylvania and one from Massachusetts. They wanted to more or less prove or disprove a fallacy whether a newly freed slave could learn or be taught to be self-sufficient. And hence that was the beginning of the Port Royal experiment. In 1969, Penn employed their first African-American director. And that led the way for a lot of initiatives that was very important to sustaining the Gullah Geechee community. For example, the first potable water system started at Penn Center. The first rural health organization started at Penn Center. The first daycare in Beaufort County started at Penn Center. First after-school program, and we believe in the state, started at Penn Center. So Penn led the way for many things, and not because these ideas just came up, but we really respond to the needs and wants of our community. One of the most famous guests was Dr. Martin Luther King. And Dr. King found this area to be one of the safe places that he could travel in the South. Additionally, it was one of the only places in the South that you could actually have a group of African Americans and white people meeting without there being a riot. You hear what I say? This camera hear what I say. This camera hear what I say. You want a translation? Can you hear what I'm saying? That's Gullah. And one thing about Gullah is that we have never believed in using a lot of long sentences. For example, in our language, instead of saying good morning, we would just say morning. Or good evening, we would just say evening. We feel that, again, we just raising too much breath saying good. Just say morning and it's over.